I pledge this. No amount of pressure and no decision in any international forum will prevent Israel from defending itself against those who seek our destruction. To all the enemies of Israel, including their collaborators in The Hague, I renew that pledge today. Israel will wage our war against Hamas until that war is won.
Today in history, being the 11th of September, is a day, of course, to be remembered globally, most especially in New York, United States of America, where the 11th September bombing by Osama bin Laden and his terror group eventually invaded the airspace of America, unleashing mayhem and bringing down the World Trade Center that claims over 3,000 lives in the course of that process, of which eventually redefined the security of the United States of America and the vow to get down to the roots of that cause. And of course, the mastermind behind such operations was eventually hunted down. Osama bin Laden became a target of hit, and eventually that happens just in a matter of years. And eventually, it also reminds us the fight against terror or act of terrorism should be a global fight. Wherever you see act of terrorism is against humanity, and every responsible human must say no to terror, regardless of whatever form is being displayed, be it economic terror, be it terror to life and properties, should be vehemently condemned. Of course, it also reminds us the 7th of October, where the Israeli territory was invaded by the Hamas, which eventually yesterday, but 2 days ago, or barely 2 days ago, the Israeli Mossad has to hit a target in Qatar, claiming that the Qatar government harbored terrorists who unleashed mayhem or coordinated the mayhem unleashed against the Israel communities within the borderlines, and they eventually sponsored, were one of the biggest sponsors of Hamas and terrorism, claiming to be negotiating or mediating for the negotiation of those Hamas leaders, but not knowing that they were the brain behind the operations, behind the sponsorship of these terror operations targeted against Israel, launching a campaign of cannoli in disguise, projecting themselves to be friends of Israel, but indirectly were the people behind the pains, the invasion, the massacre of the Israeli citizens, and a dozen of other foreigners within that territory of the Israel borderlands. This is quite interesting.
Oh my God! 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 Sana hindi pumami yung kotse.
We remember September 11th. On that day, Islamist terrorists committed the worst savagery on American soil since the founding of the United States. We also have a September 11th. We remember October 7th. On that day, Islamist terrorists committed the worst savagery against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. What did America do in the wake of September 11th? It promised to hunt down the terrorists who committed this heinous crime wherever they may be. And it also passed a resolution in the Security Council of the UN 2 weeks later that said governments cannot give harbor to terrorists. Well, yesterday, we acted along those lines. We went after the terrorist masterminds who committed the October 7th massacre. And we did so in Qatar, which gives safe haven. It harbors terrorists. It finances Hamas. It gives its terrorist chieftains sumptuous villas. It gives them everything. So we did exactly what America did when it went after the terrorists, the Al-Qaeda terrorists in Afghanistan, and after they went and killed Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. Now the various countries of the world condemn Israel. They should be ashamed of themselves. What did they do after America took out Osama bin Laden? Did they say, oh, what a terrible thing was done to Afghanistan or to Pakistan? No, they applauded. They should applaud Israel for standing and up to these same principles and carrying them out. And I say to Qatar and all nations who harbor terrorists, you either expel them or you bring them to justice. Because if you don't, we will.
Israel will definitely seek for vengeance and will take every opportunity to avenge for the killing, abduction of her citizens by anyone behind such actions. Vow to crush Hamas and its leaders wherever they might be hiding. Well, they thought Qatar could have provided shit for them, running away from the wrath of the Israeli Mossad, eventually could just at last for a moment, and eventually Israel had been monitoring and following up the process, and after discovering the underground tunnel where these people are being shielded in Qatar, the Qatar government authorities could not dictate, of course, the presence of Israeli Mossad, a strike, and eventually it happens. And from what you can see from the video, everybody was running helter-skelter, scoring for safety, but then it was too late. Well coordinated and planned precision hit or a strike was carried out, and a great success again was recorded against the act of terror. It's a victory for the fight against terrorism. Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has condemned world powers and other countries who stood by the United States of America in 11th of September, eventually 24 years now, but also could not replicate the same gesture when the Israeli government decided to defend her own territory and go for the rescue of the adopted citizens and residents within the Israeli borders. It is quite unfortunate. Describing this as a double standard that should be vehemently condemned by any responsible nation or society. Definitely, Israel must defend itself. The days of Israel are being killed and slaughtered without any drastic consequences is over, according to Netanyahu. That Israel must fight to defend itself, has no apology to tender to anyone, regardless of whatever interests or opinion they might express contrary to this position or stand of the Israeli Defense Force. Definitely, Israel must hunt down their perceived enemies. Jerusalem must be secured. Of recent, we've seen an escalation where about 4 Israeli soldiers were gunned down in a very coordinated attack by a sniper, and that sent a very shocking wave down to the spines of the Israeli Mossad, reminding them again that they have an obligation to get to the root of this cause, of this genocide planned against the state of Israel and her citizens. War and defending their own territory and the right to existence.
The ICC prosecutor, Karim Khan, to seek arrest warrants against the democratically elected leaders of Israel is a moral outrage of historic proportions. It will cast an everlasting mark of shame on the international court. Israel is waging a just war against Hamas, a genocidal terrorist organization that perpetrated the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Hamas massacred 1,200 Jews, raped Jewish women, burned Jewish babies, took hundreds hostage. Now, in the face of these horrors, Mr. Khan creates a twisted and false moral equivalence between the leaders of Israel and the henchmen of Hamas. This is like creating a moral equivalence after September 11th between President Bush and Osama bin Laden, or during World War II between FDR and Hitler. What a travesty of justice, what a disgrace. The prosecutor's absurd charges against me and Israel's defense minister are merely an attempt to deny Israel the basic right of self-defense. And I assure you of one thing, this attempt will utterly fail. 80 years ago, the Jewish people were totally defenseless against our enemies. Those days are over. Now the Jewish people have a state, and we have an army to defend our state. Notwithstanding the blood libels Mr. Khan has leveled, Israel will continue to wage this war in full compliance with international law. We will continue to take unprecedented measures to get innocent civilians out of harm's way and to ensure that humanitarian assistance reaches those in need in Gaza. Mr. Khan also sets a dangerous precedent that undermines every democracy's right to defend itself against terror organizations and aggressors. The ICC has no jurisdiction over Israel, and Mr. Khan's actions will not stop us from waging our just war against Hamas. But Mr. Khan's abuse of this authority will turn the ICC into nothing more than a farce. He's doing something else. He is callously pouring gasoline on the fires of anti-Semitism that are raging across the world. Through this incendiary decision, Mr. Khan takes his place among the great anti-Semites in modern times. He now stands alongside those infamous German judges who donned their robes and upheld laws that denied the Jewish people their most basic rights and enabled the Nazis to perpetrate the worst crime in history. 2 weeks ago, on Holocaust Memorial Day, I pledged this: no amount of pressure and no decision in any international forum will prevent Israel from defending itself against those who seek our destruction. To all the enemies of Israel, including their collaborators in The Hague, I renew that pledge today. Israel will wage our war against Hamas until that war is won, because never again is now.